Okay, so with the Eagles training camp just a couple weeks away, the hype continues to build around this star-studded roster that should very well have a chance to win a Super Bowl this upcoming season. And one of the most exciting things about this team this year is the revamped offense under new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore that features tons of star-caliber players. And recently, we just got word on some new plans for the offense, and it seems like Jalen Hurts and his Pro Bowl cast of weapons should be able to take it to the next level this season, as there's good reason to believe that Hurts can return to MVP form, while new addition Saquon Barkley is poised to dominate, and the rest of the cast are all set up for success this year, so let's break it all down. And also, speaking of Barkley, he's been impressing one particular teammate during the offseason, while he's also been working with Jalen Hurts, who seems poised himself to have a bounce-back year, and so does head coach Nick Sirianni, but if things do go bad, it seems like Nick could be in serious trouble, which is why this year is make or break for him. So we're going to talk about all that and so much more, and we won't waste any time, let's get straight into it. So let's briefly start this off by looking at a little bit of off-season Jalen Hurts content, as him and his girlfriend Bree Burrows were in attendance for the Frankie Beverly and Maze tour in Philadelphia just a couple nights ago, and Hurts actually was able to give a speech honoring Beverly, who I believe is his favorite or one of his favorite artists of all time. So I honestly just wanted to include this because I thought it was cool that Jalen got the opportunity to do something like this for someone described as a living legend, and I just think it shows how truly respected Jalen really is outside of the ridiculous media pieces trying to spread drama about him, of course. But Jalen's going to have a chance to shut down a lot of those doubters and insane stories by just putting his head down, going to work, and then showing up big time in the 2024 season, which I fully expect Jalen to do. I mean, people have tried to act like Hurts had a terrible year last year and he has to almost reprove himself as the Eagles franchise quarterback, when I personally have stood strong in believing that those narratives are just completely overblown. I mean, sure, Jalen did kind of take a step back last year with things like turnovers being an issue, but at the same time, he was the leading MVP candidate 12 weeks through the season. He made the Pro Bowl and he had 38 total touchdowns for the Birds in 2023, which was a single season franchise record. So if that's what taking a step back looks like, then I'm really not too worried about it. And also, let's not forget that Jalen also had to deal with the terrible scheme and play design on offense under offensive coordinator Brian Johnson, which is something that he's not going to have to deal with under new offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. And that's why I think it's more than possible that Hurts is able to kind of have a bounce back year and get back to his MVP form. I mean, with the new concepts that Kellen Moore is going to introduce on offense, whether it be more pre-snap motion, more advanced route trees for the receivers, more passes over the middle of the field, or an evolved RPO game, I think that there's really no question that it's all going to benefit Hurts and the overall offense once Hurts is really able to adjust to all the newness of it, as the increased creativity is really going to make it harder for the defenses to know what's coming, as opposed to the Birds offense that became very bland at the end of last season. And Jalen Hurts is also just simply going to have a lot more places to go with the football as opposed to last year, where he was really left with no answers against the blitz and just dealing with very simple route concepts the defenses eventually caught on to, as Kellen Moore has come in here and incorporated his ideas and schemes that should solve a ton of those problems from last year. And speaking of Moore, it really seems like he's been taking full control of the offense during the offseason, as a new report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler details how Moore has been working tirelessly to create an offense that maximizes quarterback Jalen Hurts and the rest of the talent that they have. As Fowler said, quote, "I'm hearing that Nick Sirianni, the head coach, is trusting Kellen Moore big time to make it all work, to blend the principles of the past offense, the things that Jalen Hurts likes, the dual threat ability, play action, mix it with more system, and sprinkle in something new for the offense that got stagnant and static late in the year." So I really love that, because not only does it briefly highlight pretty much everything that I said about Moore bringing in his new concepts and ideas earlier, but it also emphasizes how the Eagles aren't just ditching the old things that have worked in the past because it just wouldn't make sense to completely abandon them, and also how the offense is being somewhat catered to Hurts and his comfortability level with the old and new things, which is definitely very important, as it's no secret that as a coach, you just want to be able to maximize the players that you have, and if you can maximize the quarterback, the franchise quarterback at that, then there's a good chance that your offense is going to be pretty successful and maybe even reach its ceiling. And also, good on Jalen for being able to speak up and communicate the things that he likes about the offense, as Jeremy Fowler also had a quote earlier in the offseason talking about how Hurts has been during this whole process of creating the new offense, saying, quote, "I'm told Hurts has done a good job this offseason of being vocal and taking ownership of the plays he likes, the plays he doesn't like." So just overall, it really does sound like Kellen Moore has done a good job of taking everything into account and building an offense that's going to maximize its quarterback and other stars. And like I alluded to earlier, I mean, the ceiling for Jalen Hurts is clearly one of the best players in the entire league and possibly league MVP, as we saw a clear glimpse of that in 2022 with him nearly winning the award. And like I said, I do believe that he can definitely get back to that this year. And a recent article from Michael Kasky-Blomain of inside the Eagles echoes this same idea, as he included Hurts winning MVP in a list of 3 Eagles who could win awards this year, as he wrote, quote, "We all know that Jalen Hurts had a relatively down season in 2023, but he's just 2 years removed from finishing second in MVP voting behind Patrick Mahomes in 2022. There's no reason to think that Hurts can't get back to that MVP level, especially with all the upgrades that the Eagles made to the offense around him. If Philadelphia's offense is as good as it seems like it should be on paper, Hurts could put up some monster numbers, and if the Eagles are at the top of the standings again, perhaps Hurts will be crowned MVP after falling short just a couple years ago." So all that being said, what do you guys think? Do you think Jalen Hurts could actually win the MVP award this season? You can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. But I do want to get back to that list though, because one of the guys listed on it is someone who Eagles fans may be a bit skeptical of after the way last year ended, and that's head coach Nick Sirianni, as even after all the turmoil at the end of last year and the collapse and the questions surrounding Sirianni and his coaching, this article is suggesting that Sirianni could actually have a chance of winning the Coach of the Year award this season. As it states, quote, "Let's start at the top. It will be up to Nick Sirianni to maximize the talent on the team and lead the Eagles back to the top of the conference in 2024. If he's able to do that, there's no reason that he shouldn't be in the Coach of the Year conversation. Sirianni is entering his 4th season as the head coach of the Eagles, and he's had some solid successes so far. The team made the playoffs in each of his first 3 seasons, and he led them all the way to the Super Bowl in 2022. However, a late season collapse last year had some people calling for his job. He kept it though, and 2024 will provide an opportunity for Sirianni to truly cement himself as one of the league's elite. With an extremely talented offense and a revamped defense, there will be high expectations in Philly. If the Eagles can live up to them, perhaps Sirianni will end the season with some new hardware for his mantle." Now, I honestly think that the logic here is pretty sound. I mean, the last 7 or 8 weeks of last season aside, Sirianni has really been a very successful coach in his short time with the Eagles, as he's made the playoffs all 3 years and helped lead the Birds to a Super Bowl appearance in his 2nd season. And while yes, I get it, the concerns cannot be ignored after what happened last year, I honestly do think Nick is being scapegoated a little bit too heavily. And again, I'm not trying to excuse him or say that he had no part to play in it, but I honestly just think like the collapse was certainly not all on him. I think it was definitely a collective thing. And despite what the media may want to say, Sirianni clearly has the support of his players, with him getting high rankings on the NFL's end-of-year surveys and multiple players coming out publicly and praising him. And Nick also does know how to motivate and communicate to his players and just help build an overall great winning culture. So if the Eagles live up to their potential this season, Nick should get a good amount of credit for that. And if the Birds finish at the top of the NFC standings just like they did a couple years ago, then Nick should definitely get consideration for that Coach of the Year award like he did in 2022. But also, just like he should get credit if the Eagles are able to succeed, he should also be held accountable if they don't. And if they do have another disappointing finish like they did last season, then I do think there's actually a really good chance that Nick may be out as the Eagles head coach. And Eagles writer Reuben Frank outlined that in a recent article, as he said, quote, "What does Nick Sirianni have to do to keep his job beyond 2024? I think it's pretty clear if the Eagles don't win a playoff game this year, he's gone. And he should be, because if the Eagles lose in the wild card round or don't make the playoffs, then you're looking at a team that reached a Super Bowl in 2022, finished 2023 with a 1-6 record and a blowout playoff loss, and then failed to advance in the postseason again in 2024. Just getting to the playoffs is no longer enough. Whatever equity Sirianni earned in 2022 is running out. The Eagles have real coordinators now, they have unlimited talent on offense, and they're younger and faster on defense. They have a manageable schedule. Everything is in place for Sirianni to get this team to mid-January. If not, Jeff Lurie won't have much of a decision to make. And honestly, in the same way that I agreed with that last article, I also completely agree with that. I mean, let's face it, the Eagles are completely loaded on paper with great talent and great experienced play callers in the coordinator positions. I mean, everything is shaping up for the Eagles to go on another long postseason run, so if they're not able to do that and everyone's able to stay healthy, and Nick just simply fails to get the most out of the roster and they underperform, then there's really no reason why you should keep his job. So this is certainly a make or break season for Nick, and let's just all hope he embraces the challenge and rises to it. But what do you guys think? What are your opinions on Nick Sirianni currently, and how do you think this season's going to go for him? But now, I do want to go back to that Jeremy Fowler report talking about how Sirianni has allowed Kellen Moore to take over the offense, because there's a part of that report that I left out that I wanted to save to talk about now. As the final sentence of the report reads, quote, "Could see some more tight end usage, but you're probably going to see a lot of Saquon Barkley talking to people around the league." And that's something that all Eagles fans, I'm sure, are very fired up about, because Saquon's been the talk of the town all offseason. He's the offseason addition that everyone seems to be the most excited about, and that's completely fair, because as I've been saying for months now, Saquon has the potential to take this Eagles offense to the next level. He's that good, he's that talented, and when put alongside all the elite weapons that the Birds have on the offensive side of the ball, then he becomes even more dangerous. And if he's used correctly within the flow of the offense and given a good amount of touches, he's just going to go absolutely crazy. There's no doubt about it, and it's really just going to help the offense reach new heights. Now, of course, there's no denying that there's going to be a learning curve with Saquon just coming to an entirely new team after spending his entire career so far with the Giants, and also just the team in general implementing a new offense. But it seems like Barkley's right now doing everything that he can to build that necessary chemistry right away to speed that whole process up, as he's particularly spent a lot of time during this offseason working with Jalen Hurts and strengthening their connection, and he had this to say about their offseason training together, quote, "We're out there just doing all the little things, throwing, working on routes, building chemistry. That's stuff needed during this time. Building that chemistry, connecting together as a team, those are little things that really matter and help you along the way during the season." So, like Barkley said, that extra work should give him and Jalen a leg up once the season begins in terms of where their chemistry's at. And overall, I mean, I just love the offseason that Barkley has had here so far, as he's fit right in Philly and impressed his teammates. And that includes All-Pro right tackle Lane Johnson, who has had nothing but amazing things to say about Barkley recently, as Johnson was recently on SiriusXM radio where he said, quote, "For me, a lot of it is to generate as much force as I can to make a running back's life easy, but I think with his skill set, he's going to make us look a lot better than what we might be. I've never seen a guy weigh 230, 235 pounds being able to split out wide and pretty much be able to outrun anybody on the field and do things at receiver. Obviously, when you look at him, ultra talented but extremely personable, great teammate, hard worker. I know he's excited about this new change in his career, and when you look at him, it's one of those guys that just doesn't come around too often." So those comments from Lane certainly only add on to all the Saquon Barkley hype this offseason. And overall, I just cannot wait to watch him, Jalen Hurts, and the others flourish in Kellen Moore's new offense. I honestly think the offense is going to be amazing and just so much fun to watch this season, and I'm just so ready for them to dominate defenses all year. But that being said, what do you guys think? How do you expect guys like Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and others to perform under Kellen Moore in his new offense? You can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And also, while you're at it, make sure you guys subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. We cover the Eagles year-round on this channel, and things are going to get crazy when training camp comes around in a couple weeks. So again, make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications, and also drop a like down below to show some support. If you did enjoy this video, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this one out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.